Good day, friends. Here's something you don't see very often. In fact, it's the first time I've seen one. And you might be thinking, oh, where is it? Go here. Oh, there you go. It's a Rickenbacker. No, it isn't. Rickenbacker copper. Rockinbetter, made in Indonesia. I don't know if you've been Rockinbetter one of these or not, but it's not a bad looking guitar. Left-handed. Pain in the butt for me, but you know, it's what we do. So, why has it come in? Well, again, fretboards all around here. And it's no surprise because the action was far too low above the 12th fret. It was like 1.5 mil above the 12th fret, the bottom of the low E string. So I says, well, where's our up half a mil? Get it up to 2, and it was low here and all, 1.5, 1.25, 1.4. So I've lowered our up to 1.5, 1.6. Now I've got no fretboards, but there are 4 high frets. Also, we're getting that, listen. Getting that lovely sitar noise on the low E. And obviously the nut, it's always the nut, it means the groove's cut wrong on the nut. And it is on this, and I've had another go. I've cut it again and tried to smooth it off. Thing is, I'll show you this way because it's easier. The brake angle. There's too much brake angle on the nut. My string is just on the top edge of the nut and it's missing. It's not touching here. It's bending, you know, it's not touching at all. Listen, I could probably just show you this way if I rest this on my leg right. So we're looking at the top E string, and the thing is, this cut here on the nut is too much angled. So only this part of the string is resting on the nut right at the end here. So it's giving us that sitar noise. It needs a new nut. Pretty straightforward, you might say, and you'd think so, wouldn't you? You just go and get something good. Get a Graphtec Tusk or new bone nut. Don't get any bone or cheap plastic crap. Go and get something good. Cost you 12 quid. Thing is, one is for a left-handed guitar. I'm not saying I can't find one. I probably can. The thing is, he wants this guitar back Monday. I haven't got time to get one. So what I've decided to do in the meantime is I'm going to take the nut off and I'm going to shim it. Then I'm going to recarve the slots. Best thing I can do for now. It's a temporary fix. We can put a new nut on at a later date. Big bonus for the lad having this done because it's a new guitar. By new, I mean he's had it a few months, but I said, look, I'll do you a favour being as you're a new customer. I'll let you take advantage of my new guitar setup, which is £30. And it's basically, if you've got a new guitar and it's never had a setup, bring it to me and I'll give it its first setup for 30 quid. So it's done myself out of 45 quid there. It should be having an intensive setup because it needs some frets leveling as well, 4 frets. I told him I'll chuck that in. So I'm doing this for note really. But he's going to get a good judge on. We're also going to stick some Diodario 10s on there, new set of strings. So that's it. It's just a matter of me setting the action, which I've already done. I'll take that bridge cover plate off and I'll set the intonation there. We'll get that all set up. Take the nut off, get a shim under there. I'm only going to shim with something, I don't know whether to go with a nice thin piece of maple, or because it's only going to be temporary, I might just go with a few layers of masking tape under there. I know it's a little bit shoddy, but the thing is, we're going to change the nut down the line. It's just he's got his guitar for rehearsal and his next guitar lesson next week. You know, so I says I'll get it done for him. I'm not going to bother trying to order a nut in and get that in and get it carved. I'm going to rig him up, let him know what I've decided to do. I think a shim under there, 1/3 of a mil shim under there will fix that problem for now. We can look at getting a new nut later on. So that's it with this. I'm going to put it away for now because I've got other stuff to be getting on with, but I'll be cracking on with this. I imagine I'll get this done Saturday. So that's it. Stay tuned. I'll come back with another update shortly. Welcome back, friends, and I'm having to resort to manually turning on and off this camera now because I've lost my remote. Now it's in this room somewhere, but I don't know where. Anyway, that aside, Rockinbetter, left-handed gubbins. I toyed about with the idea, this nut is just cut wrong. The cutback angle on here is just cut too, it's too angled. So like I say, the strings are only on the front edge of the nut. So I talked to the owner and I was going to consider shimming it as a temporary fix for now, but I thought No, we don't want to do that. We'll go and buy a nut. So I went and bought a nut, the correct nut, a little bit bigger than I need it to be, but we've gone with a black left-handed Tusk nut. Slightly bigger than the one that's in there. That's just a graphite nut in there. We had to replace it anyway, but this gives us a much better break angle for the string. And there's enough material on here, it's slightly higher as well. There's enough material on this for me to cut them slots properly. Not have them angled back like that, have them just angled back slightly, because that ring on the top E, can you hear that sitarnus? So we've got to replace the nut instead, and I'll give you the measurements of the nut. It's slightly bigger than the one that's on it. It's made of Tusk, which is a man-made, basically it's man-made ivory. Well, that's what we say it is. Now, the good thing about these Graphtec nuts are they're self-lubricating. It's got some permanently lubricated nuts and saddles. I'll read you the bump. Major cause of tuning frustration is when the string binds at the knot, which is right. Precision engineered with Teflon, the slipperiest of substances on the earth, or slipperiest substance on the earth apparently. Black Tusk XL reduces this friction, increasing tuning stability based on the highly resonant Tusk TUSQ formula. Permanently lubricated throughout, you can play aggressively, use a tremolo and do massive string bends with confidence. Well, that's the bump. They're 10 quid these are, £10 delivered. So I went and got one. I'll obviously charge him a tenner for that, a couple of quid for pouring it on. So he's having a new guitar set up, new set of strings, blah 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 blah. It's not going to cost him much money. So I'm going to do that. There's a couple, like I mentioned earlier, there's a couple of frets to level, which I'm going to do. I'm going to take the strings off. I'm going to take the bridge cover off so we can get the intonation sorted out before I change the strings. And we'll bang a set of Diodario 10s on there. I've got a couple of frets to level, and we'll do a big setup and replace the nut. Pretty straightforward. Not as straightforward as you might think, it being a left-handed guitar. I mean, I'm not left-handed, I'm right-handed, so it makes it a bit more difficult for me to play, but I'll set it up to required spec, and there's no reason that the guitar won't work perfectly well once it is set up. I've got a bit of carving to do on the nut, but that's all part and parcel of the process anyway, so I'm going to crack on with that. Any problems, I'll come back and give you an update. If there are no problems, I'll come back and give you an update. So stay tuned, and I will see you soon. Hello again. Right, the guitar. I've done the intonation, set the action with the old strings on, which I do as a rule because it means I'm putting the same gauge strings on, so when I come to doing the action and the intonation and everything, when I put the new strings back on, we are already there. We might need a tiny bit of tweaking. It's something I've always done. Someone says, why do you do it before you put new strings on? Well, because it's already, it's already there with strings on, so you get it close, put new strings on, get it, it's going to be more or less spot on. So, what have I done since I saw you last? Well, I carved the nut, carved it to exact size, and I've glued it in. I've also levelled the frets. I'm now ready to polish the frets. I've still got the knot is still dry. I've glued it in. I haven't used super glue. Super glue is a nightmare. You don't use super glue to glue a knot in. I've used just regular tight bond. Just put a little bit on each side and just sat it in there, and I've got it taped in. And the tape is holding the knot in. It's exactly where it needs to be. I get an hour or two. I'll probably leave it 3 or 4 hours. I've got the fingerboard all taped up, ready to polish the frets. Now I've levelled some. Now when I was levelling them, obviously I think I had 7 to level, but when you're levelling one, it alters the next ones to it. So I've actually done about 10 or 11. So but it didn't take that long. We only need a little skim and a little bit of shaping. I've shaped using my 2.5mm side of my groove file. Just to finish off, and now we're going to get them all polished. So once that's done, it's just a matter of putting on a new set of strings, getting the strings in the slots on the knot, and cutting the slots in the knot to the correct depth. So I'll be able to show more of that once I've got the tape off, and you can see the nut itself. Nut's gone on beautiful. I had about 1mm overhang each side, which I've shaped. I always shape before I put it on the guitar. I don't shape it on the guitar because if you're filing, you're going to file into the finish, and you don't want to do that, so I always do it off the guitar, and I do tiny bit at a time. Take your time with it, just be patient. It's what you've got to do with anything when you're working on guitars, just be patient with it. You don't get anything, you don't win any prizes for rushing, and when you rush you mess up. So that's that. So I'm going to get on with the polishing now, and I'll bring it back and let you have a look once that is done. And we're back, and I found my video remote controller. Do you want to guess where it was? I'll tell you where it was. It was where I thought it might have been, in the bin. I went to empty my bin from a workshop. I thought, I'm not going to empty this, I'm going to rummage through it, see if this is in there. And it was halfway down. So I'd inadvertently lobbed that in the bin sometime when I was tidying up the other day when I was in a rush to get out. So there you go. Anyway, I found it. That's great. So where are we with this guitar? Well, the fret level, the fret polish is done, and I've glued in the nut. And I'm going to show you where we're at with that. So all the frets are now all level. They're all polished. And we have on a new Graphtec Tusk nut. I'll just show you there in case you want to zoom in and have a close look. It's gone in as well as they do go in. The shelf itself wasn't quite level, so rather than cut into the guitar, I've actually cut the nut to shape. I've glued it in. I've only gone with regular. I just put a dab of Titebond each side. I didn't want the glue running out everywhere. I didn't want to put any super glue in there. Now with some Titebond, if you ever need to remove that later on, we can just tap it out and it'll just break and it won't rip a big chunk of wood out of it. So all that needs to be done now is we're going to put some strings on it and we'll cut these slots in the nut. They're probably a millimetre too high, half a millimetre too high. We'll cut them with the strings on. Once it's done, we'll slacken the strings and I'll go across with a file and we'll carve this nut down. Like I say, it being Tusk, it's self-lubricating. You won't get no binding in there. Your strings won't be binding. It's going to give us a lot better guitar in the long run. So all I've got to do now really is do that, get some strings on there, and this one can go back to its owner. So I'm going to blob on with it and I will come back and show you. We're going to stick some, sticking some D'Addario 10s on there, I believe. Stock strings. I buy 10s and 9s. I buy only ball 9s and D'Addario 10s. So I'm going to crack on with that. Now I've got my remote, I can make this video a little better as well. So stay tuned, back soon. Welcome back, and here we are. And the guitar is finished. Brand new nut on there. We went with, as I always go, with a Graphtec Tusk. Blah 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 blah. There for your perusal. Great nutsies. I've shaped it, fitted it, carved it obviously. Let's give you a little. There you go. Very nice. And there you go. The guitar itself, left-handed, so I can't play it, but well, look, it's a very nice guitar. It's not in the same league as a Rickenbacker, but it's playable and it's nice. So that's that. That's the guy come to pick it up. So I'll catch you next time. Be good, and I'll talk to you soon.